Right, here we go. Chris Riley is up to be interviewed today in the second part of this three-part series where we're going to interview each other so we can get to know the hosts.
So yeah, Ian, do you want to start off with your first question, or shall I go?
I'll let you go first. I like your first question, and I have a feeling
Yes,
we'll get a nice answer from
I think this is a perfect first question here.
I
you.
swear
My
to God,
question.
if it's the same first question that I had for you,
No,
I'm leaving.
no,
I'm
no.
leaving the
It's a
room.
Oh,
lot. It's a lot more creative.
yeah, I 100% agree with that, Ian.
I
My
cited my
question.
sources.
My question is: do you believe in Bigfoot or aliens, and explain
Aliens,
why or why not?
aliens for probability factor.
I'm saying like, do you believe in either? Like, I'm not saying like, do you believe in Bigfoot and do you believe in aliens?
Oh, so it's like a two-part question.
Yes, yes. Not or aliens, like
Okay,
and aliens.
I definitely believe in aliens. Um, I remember in astronomy class in high school, there was I forget the name of the graph, but it was essentially a giant box, and then it's here's the entire universe. This section houses planets. This houses stars. This houses what we've mapped. This houses what we think the planets that we know of that could possibly sustain life.
Hmm.
And the amount that we don't know about what's out there, there is no way, purely by statistic miracle, that we are the only place that has life on it. Now, intelligent life, I I would also say it's unlikely that there is not another form of intelligent life out there. We just haven't found it yet, or they haven't found us, which could be a good thing.
Would you call yourself an alien?
Would I call myself an alien?
Christopher, are you an alien?
Answer the question, Christopher.
I'm being completely. I
Can
think
I plead the fifth? Is that
sometimes you're
something that you
suspicious.
people have here? I mean, what?
I'm asking, do you probe people for fun?
Do I probe people for? I gave that up a while ago. It needing to resanitize everything so the experiments wouldn't get fouled. Like I used to, but not now. It's just straight hair samples and a cotton swab.
Okay,
That's all I need for that. Yeah.
Like
great answer.
like a COVID test, just a swab of the nose.
Ah,
Damn it! You caught onto my conspiracy.
so Chris is behind it.
Yeah.
By
It
the
is
way,
the
this is
cat.
that Noseko that we bought
Oh,
when you
wait,
were
what?
here. It tastes
Oh
like
yeah,
an earthy sour, a really light mouth feel earthy sour.
interesting. So how acidic is it?
Not too bad, not too acidic, but it's definitely acidic.
Gotcha. So let's go back to the question here. So Bigfoot, where are we at on the Bigfoot stance?
Um, I think the chances of that are a lot less. I would say the chances of biological life outside of our planet is 100%. The chances of Bigfoot, I think, are a lot less because of how much we've explored. There's still a lot of places like the Amazon rainforest or the Arctic tundra, Siberia, places like that where, excuse me, we haven't explored as much. So it is conceivable to believe that there could be an apex predator living in those areas, but it's a lot less likely given how many people there are, the geographic mapping tools that we have. I'm pretty sure we might have found something like that. I'd be more inclined to believe that there's still a megalodon living at the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
Well, yeah, and haven't we haven't discovered barely any of the ocean. So I
Oh,
think
we
a
know
probability.
we know more about our solar system and space than the ocean. Oh,
Yeah, so I think
absolutely.
the probability of a megalodon is probably way higher than a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Actually, that leads me on to something. So I remember having a conversation with my friends, and I'm saying if you could be reincarnated as one animal, it'd be a deep sea fish because we know for that exact reason we know more about our own oceans than we. Oh, sorry, we know more about other plants than we do about our own oceans.
So people
And Chris, if
can
you could be
leave me
reincarnated
the
as an animal,
hell alone.
what animal would it be?
If I could be reincarnated as an animal, what animal would I be?
Or when you are.
Yeah,
When
I've
when
just
am I?
hijacked Tyler's question. Sorry.
We actually that reminds me of, again, we were talking about like YOLO the other day or something, and in college we were doing a social studies unit, and one of them was on, we like touched on some world religions, and it was YOLO, but then we added in like karma and reincarnation, so the acronym wasn't YOLO, it was you only live once unless you believe in reincarnation, and in that case you live multiple times. And we wrote that acronym on the board to teach students. It was funny.
That's hilarious.
But what animal would I be reincarnated as?
See, this is a hard question to answer, I think.
This wasn't planned, actually. This just...
See, but this just shows everything about a person, right? This answer literally determines how I feel about you, Chris. That's how important this question is.
Choose wisely.
I would probably say some type of predatory bird, a hawk or an eagle or something.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking I would be an owl.
Did you pick an eagle because you're American?
No, the bald eagle sounds like a baby chicken with its call. In most movies, when they dramatize the bald eagle call, it's actually a red-tailed hawk. The red-tailed hawk has that traditional like diving call that they use.
This is why I think you're an alien. It's just a random intelligence that no one gives a fuck about, but you know, Chris. So I think there's something.
7 years of environmental education, I had to know stuff like this. There's a reason for my insanity. People just often don't just get too afraid of me before I can explain it.
I guess to go off of that statement, just express, your whole evolution of Chris. Like from you, like lower education and then on up to college. Just describe, who you were, who you are now, and just all the in-betweens. Let's hear about the evolution of Chris.
The evolution of Chris.
Yes.
So my species originated on a planet in the Gamma Quadrant of the Milky Way. We're all direct clones of each other.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I got nothing else to add on to that one. I grew up just south of Boston, Massachusetts. I went to local prep school, elementary school there through 5th grade. There I was the unpopular fat kid. I didn't have too many friends. I had a few friends, but not too many, and none who I would really consider close friends. But as of now, I don't really talk to anyone there, and it's fine. I was very curious then on my own time. I used my imagination a lot. Went through the dinosaur phase of memorizing and learning every fact about every species of dinosaur that ever existed, and then in middle school I had a book of the periodic table of the elements, and during quiet reading time I would copy down all of the descriptions of all of the elements, and I haven't seen anything drop faster than Tyler's respect for me is right now.
There's like a non-PC part of me is like, okay, he got picked on because of what you just told me.
Yes, for it.
But then again,
it wasn't that, because I started getting picked on before because I needed to then entertain myself and keep myself busy. So I then retreated kind of emotionally and went into stuff like that because I understood it. It made sense to me. And then that's where my scientific analytic brain evolved from. And then in middle school, which I left that elementary school, that was a K-12 school, but for a number of reasons I left. It turned into not being a good fit for me. And I left and went to a middle school where I started as a day student. And then 8th and 9th grade, I was a 5-day boarder. So I would go out there on Sunday nights, sleep there during the week, and then come home on the weekends, on Fridays. I did really well there. That was the school where I was copying down all the descriptions of all the periodic table of the elements, and the school had a farm on it, so that's kind of how I got into ecology and animal husbandry and stuff like that. Then after,
Is this a boarding school?
yeah,
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
yeah. And then I went to New England boarding schools. Yeah, I'm that kid.
Oh, no.
Um,
Yeah,
then after middle school, I went to a Catholic school for about 8, 9 weeks, and that was not a good fit for me. It's a great school, just not the one for me. And so we rebooted the high school search, and we found my high school, which is the Dublin School in Dublin, New Hampshire. No affiliation to Ireland. I get that every time. The town is called Dublin, and so there might be some correlation there. But that's how the school got its name. And from there, typical high school, except for the fact that it was a boarding school. I was there. I was a 7-day boarder there, so I was there the entire time and came home and visited mom and dad on the every now and then on the weekends, but during holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, spring break, stuff like that.
whose decision was it to keep changing schools in your past history of education? And then why? Was it because of a certain goal you were seeking and you just weren't able to achieve it at those schools?
So
Was it your
at
parent
in my
like
at Milton Academy, that was my elementary school. I went through the educational testing process for learning disabilities, and I was diagnosed as having a nonverbal learning disorder, which is kind of information processing and encoding. I had a lot of trouble with like rote facts of the teacher standing up at the front of the class just talking at the students. I had a lot of trouble internalizing and memorizing those facts. So my parents started looking at a school that had those types of support systems to allow me to learn better and more effectively. And that's what I got at Hillside, which was my middle school. And then from Hillside, I graduated and went to Xaverian for 9 weeks. That was the Catholic school. That didn't work out. And so I finished Hillside, so I had to go to another school. And then it just got to the point at Xaverian where it was an all guys sports driven culture of a school, and that really wasn't my personality at the time. It's still not really my personality, but I can deal with it and work with it and stuff like that. So it was kind of a mutual decision with me and my parents to reboot the high school search to find somewhere else to go. And that's when we found Dublin, and we went on a tour, and I liked it from the get-go. Then we decided to head up that way and go to New Hampshire, and every time I say that, people immediately think my parents sent me away to reform school. But then after that, after Dublin, where I got further into science and theater and got more into computers and stuff because I was good at it, I decided that I wanted to look at colleges that had good programs like that, and I decided I wanted to be a secondary ed major with a focus on biology. So I was looking at schools along the East Coast and around the country that had those requirements. And we found Goucher here in Baltimore, which both met those. And so I came down to Baltimore in 2010, and I've been in Baltimore ever since.
Chris, would you call yourself a nerd?
Absolutely.
Well, I
What,
think
what is being a nerd? What does that mean? Describe to me what a nerd is.
can I just preface this by saying I think it's not necessarily a negative. And I do think also you are a nerd. You own it very well. You don't half-arse it.
No.
100%.
As Ron Swanson always said, you always never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. What Ron Swanson said. So in that sense, I'm whole-assing my nerdiness. Yeah, I would absolutely say I'm a nerd. I define that as always wanting to dive into analytic thought and conversation, always wanting to learn more about the hard sciences, computers, biology, physics, astronomy, stuff like that. Essentially, the STEM curriculum of the science, technology, engineering, and math. I was a terrible math student, which blows everyone's mind to discover. It's like, but you're good with computers. How are you bad at math? Well, computers deal with ones and zeros, is what I always say. So small numbers. But yeah, I completely identify as a nerd and a geek. And I differentiate the two by the nerd is the more academic side and the geek is the more fandom side of Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, Harry Potter. And the nerd side is the biology, chemistry, physics, computer science, all that stuff. So I kind of meet in the middle and blend.
I think nerd could just be defined as obsession with learning. I think those who are just obsessed with
It
just
could be,
getting
yeah.
knowledge. You know what I mean? Just in a general statement, because I find myself being a nerd in certain areas. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely not a geek, and I like how you separated the two.
Yeah.
I used to be in all the Star Wars and stuff, but like I'm just not anymore. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with either or. So yeah, what are those geeky things that you like? So you like Star Wars, you said. What else?
Absolutely. Big fan of Doctor Who. I've kind of recently been re-binging that. What other? I built my own PC over quarantine, so I ordered all the parts, spec'd it out, and built that. So I love tinkering with stuff like that. What other geeky stuff? Marvel comic books, all the Marvel movies, the superheroes, the origins. I've written school papers on comic book origins because I'm so fascinated with them. I taught lessons about graphic novels and created comic book lessons for fifth graders to do to integrate multiple disciplines within the classroom.
Let's get into that. So yeah, what jobs have you had? Like after college, what did your life look like after college?
So I graduated college in December,
Um,
2014. I took an extra semester to.
you're pretty old,
What?
right? What I got from that is you're pretty old, right? That's kind of what I got.
I mean, shut up. Yes, I'm ancient.
Thank you.
Oh,
Um, my
In
my
comparison to
six
me,
my 6 year anniversary is coming up, and your 6 month anniversary is coming up, Tyler. Um, so right out of college, I kind of needed a job because graduating with a degree in special education in December was not ideal for the job market because schools had their staff and throughout the year. So essentially, what I would be doing, I essentially had two options in front of me: move back home with mom and dad until I figured out what to do and probably applied for a job in the Boston school system or Milton Public Schools, or do find a substitute job with Baltimore County or a long-term sub, what have you, until the cycle kicked in and schools started hiring full-time again. Until a job description came across my email that a professor sent me for a computer teacher position at one of the local Catholic schools down here with the Archdiocese of Baltimore. And I sat on it for probably a month. I got it in early to mid-October, and I didn't reply to it until early November because I really needed to think about, based on my previous experience with Catholic schools, I really needed to think about if I wanted to go down that route as a teacher. But eventually it got to the point where I was like, I need a job. Even if I do this for 6 months, finish out the year, and go somewhere else. I need to start making income because loans are going to start hitting, and I need money to survive, buy food, pay the car bills, stuff like that. So I applied for the job and got that. They were really excited about having me, and the fact that I was a male certified special education teacher, because those are really rare in education. Most teachers are female. It's just a nature of the profession. And so I got that job and was hired, and I finished out that school year. So I taught the spring of 2015, then returned for the 15-16 school year. Then I decided to think about moving on, looking at other jobs, other school systems, until the director of IT at Immaculate approached me and essentially said, "You're not leaving. You're going to come work for me in my department because I can see you have talent. I can see you have a knack for technology. We're going to create a job that you want. We're essentially going to let you write your job description with some obvious guidance behind that. But you're going to come work for me in my department." So here's me with a special education degree being asked to completely shift my careers. That would mean I lose my summers, all that stuff. Complete career shift to go work in IT, which kind of came out of left field. But I decided to take that opportunity, and it paid off very well. I am still in IT today. I was at that position from July of 2016 up through this last March. So March 11th of this year was my last day there. And in that position, I exponentially grew my knowledge of computers. I got my master's degree last August in IT. And that was probably one of the better decisions I ever made, was to make that move. And the more I look back on it, the more I wonder if I would have given myself that same opportunity that my now old boss gave me, and that she looked at me and saw something and took a chance. Because looking at my resume, there's not a chance in hell I would have hired someone with my resume for my job. I just wouldn't have. And so she took a chance on me. So that move has kind of triggered a persistent pay it forward, pay it back type of mentality with me. And I've tried to do that as much as I can with a number of people in a number of different ways. And that's just kind of my subtle way of kind of paying down that karma debt almost. And so since I left that position, I'm now completely out of education in corporate America. Been in this job since middle of March this year. I've been in the office for a total of like 2.5 months because of COVID, but I had a job throughout the whole COVID scare, which was really good. And yeah, that's my work history up through now since college.
Ian, you got any questions, or want me to hit him with something?
Yeah, hold on. We'll refer to
I can quickly give a little punch. So
yeah, go on.
let's backtrack a little bit here, huh? Explain why special ed and why teaching. So like, I know you said you like science.
Yeah.
You like science. So like, I'm thinking special ed and teaching. You've never said that you're passionate about teaching, let alone special ed. So why that route? And yeah.
I had a really great science teacher in high school that kind of inspired me to go that route with the education in science. Turns out chemistry and I are not good friends, by any stretch of the imagination. I respect it as a science and its contributions to the world, but if I never have to look at another chemistry textbook again, perfectly fine with that. So secondary ed bio major thing wasn't really going how I originally planned. And I knew I wanted to still get into education and be a teacher. So after talking it over with my advisor and figuring out what we could do, we landed on special ed in terms of where I was in my degree, how many semesters I had left, what courses I had already taken, and what the practicality was of me actually being able to graduate in 4.5 years. So that's where I kind of got pushed into special ed. And by no means did I hate it or was upset about it. I think it was a great degree. It taught me a lot. I learned a lot. I loved working with the kids I was working with in all of my placements. The only reason I didn't go into special ed was because there wasn't that opportunity when I needed a job, type of thing. So the opportunity I had was for a general education school, and I needed some type of job, so I took it. And then it was actually funny that a week into that first job, they sent out the letters of intent to all the teachers. And essentially like an informal, are you planning on coming back next year? If you are, do you want to teach the same subject, or do you want to move to another subject, another grade level, etc., etc.? So being a week in the professional world, a week into this job, I'm already asked if I want to come back next year. So I walked into my principal's office and I go, what do I do with this? And she's like, oh no, you're coming back next year. You don't have a choice. So that was a funny comedic moment. But that's kind of how I went from science to special ed. And
like, why teaching, dude? Like,
I was when I was doing environmental education, I was that person. I was a camp counselor, so I'd already been doing a form of education in the summertime. I was also working at a wildlife sanctuary where I would be the one with the hawk or falcon sitting on my hand, doing programs and teaching the public about it. And I really liked it. I really liked teaching people about the wildlife of Massachusetts and what was there and all that stuff. And that's kind of how I really got towards the teaching part of it. And so that kind of helped sway into looking at schools with education. And then I chose biology because I'd been doing science for the last several years, and I had a really great science teacher in high school, so figured I had a whole plan of go to Goucher, get my degree, come back to high school, and teach science there. And that didn't happen. I came to Baltimore and never left. Been down here 10 years now.
you're turning 30 soon, right?
That's older than you've been alive, right, Tyler?
Oh my.
That's why you drink non-alcoholic stuff. You're not old enough to drink
I
alcoholic
think it's
stuff.
more of a compliment for me right now. You're saying I look younger. That's it.
Is Baltimore your home now, or do you plan on going back to Massachusetts? Or
For now it is. For now it's my home for at least the next probably couple years. That's not to say if an opportunity arises for me to move somewhere, I'm going to dismiss it. Because I'll always have a conversation with someone about opportunities, whether it works out or not. But nothing ventured, nothing gained. If my next move is back to Boston, great. I have no problem going back to Boston. But I am close enough that I go back regularly, so I do still get my fix of masshole-ness. I leave the Baltimore on scene and go back home and be a masshole.
That's the gift that keeps on giving.
Right? At least I'm not an LA hole.
what drives you, Chris? 'Cause
My car.
Oh,
It's best
hey,
answer.
he's a comedian as well, guys. If you didn't notice.
I'll be here all week. Jesus, what drives me?
Sometimes I take Uber.
What?
Sometimes he takes Uber.
Let someone else drive him.
Yeah.
I mean, I try to just not be a douchebag, a sincere douchebag, an actual douchebag.
I think the question that you should answer is like, what's your why?
Yeah,
Answer it
thank you,
like
man.
that.
I'm getting to that.
Yeah, which answers the drive. Like, let's, yeah.
Like, I want to see a better world. I want to see people doing the right thing simply because it's the right thing, not because there's some passive self reward out of it and stuff like that. I do believe in the optimism and general goodness of people, that people do want to do the right thing. And I like to continue seeing that, so it's kind of cheesy, but you be the change in the world that you want to see type of thing. And that I guess is my drive to keep doing what I'm doing. I feel like I'm making a good impact. I feel like I'm doing good work. I feel like I'm doing it for the right reasons with the right people. And I just want the world to be better.
Let's dive into that. So, like, what is that change?
I mean, at a systemic level and societal level, like no more racism, no more prejudice and stuff like that. So I try to be as understanding and flexible as possible with people who come from different backgrounds, different countries, different cultures, stuff like that. Because, I mean, growing up, as I said, in elementary school, I was often the one who was made fun of. So I know what it's like to feel like shit when people don't accept you. So the least I can do is be that change to give someone a chance. And they might be weird and quirky at first, but then turn out to be really awesome. So I guess does that kind of
Yeah, absolutely,
answer it?
man. Absolutely. Excellent. I'll just refer back to our list. I think we've covered everything, have we, Tyler?
I mean, I got some things left in the tank. So, Christopher, what is your favorite thing about yourself, and then least favorite?
So a favorite thing about me, my favorite thing about me, and my least favorite thing about me.
Start with the favorite, Chris. We'll start on the positive.
Start on the positive. I like it.
I feel like you got to end on a positive.
Oh no, because I think people are always quick to criticize themselves. You know.
See, like it's like when you die, you don't want to die in a negative. It's
I
like
mean,
whenever you shoot.
dying is pretty negative in of itself.
I mean, I have to get reincarnated into a bird or whatever.
I mean, true. Trying to find a list that someone made me write out about things I like about myself, but I can't find that. I think it's on another notepad.
What's the first thing that you think of? There has to be something.
I like
And
how...
don't say
What?
don't say something like I'm good with computers. Come on, give us something sincere, Chris.
I really like how I see myself as outgoing. Even though there's a lot of times where I do want to be alone, I do see myself as outgoing and sociable, and I'll strike up a conversation with a stranger at a bar and just talk to them. And I love doing that. And I think that's part of my why of just learning about people and getting their stories. And I really like, I think I'm really good at that. Talking to people and being a friendly face and just enjoying being around people. And then I have to take like 3 weeks off to isolate and just be by myself to like mentally recuperate from that. But yeah, that's probably one of the best things I think about myself is that. Something that I don't like about myself. I mean, it's kind of predictable, but I've been told this by many people, so there is some truth to it. that I hold myself to unreasonable standards, like unreasonably high standards. In that, an example was back at my old place of employment, we went out for drinks after work one day, just the department, so three of us. And I was saying, like, there were things that I wish I had done better, and I could have done better and should have done better. And one of my coworkers goes, "You aren't happening to be comparing." I swear this is non-alcoholic. It's like, you don't happen to be comparing yourself to someone who has almost 40 years of experience in this field, are you? It's like, well, yeah, I kind of am. Because I see someone who's better than me, and I don't see a reason why I can't perform those tasks just as well. Like, I don't see why I can't hang equipment in a server rack just as well as someone who's been doing it for 40 years. You put bolts in the rack, you put the rails on, you drop the server, and it's done. And
see, what I'm hearing, like this right now, it doesn't sound like a negative at all. But it actually sounds like the biggest positives you have.
Well,
even positive things have a negative.
The side anxiety and internal stress that it causes me will cause me to spiral and go into an anxiety attack. Because I should have been better at this. Why aren't I good? I haven't been doing as much research as I need to. And that spirals. And that's the real negative point that I will fixate on for months.
So the issue isn't that you keep yourself to a high standard. That's not the problem.
But it's unattainable. It's essentially an unattainable standard.
Yeah, but like
I shouldn't be as good at someone who's been in IT for 40 years.
Why?
Because they've been doing it for... Your surgeon on day one is not going to be as good as a surgeon who's going on 40 years of surgery.
I don't see why. I mean, anyone who's great looked up to someone and said, I'm going to be better than them and do something better.
But I'm going to be better at them not on day one. But my
so that's the problem. So, like, it's the process. So the problem isn't you're keeping yourself to a high standard. It's how you're interpreting that every day and the obsession of it. You can be obsessed with stuff to a high degree, but it doesn't mean you have to go in a spiral. But obviously, if it's so obsessive...
It doesn't, but that's what clinical social anxiety does to you.
So
you're right, it doesn't, and there's no real logic behind it. Because I understand the process. I understand that I have time to grow. I understand that I can still be better than them. But something just tells me no in my brain. And that's the anxiety of, but will you actually be good enough? And, yeah. So I really don't like my anxiety.
Well, maybe you are attacking it the wrong way. Like, you're trying to be better than someone else.
That's what my therapist said.
Well, if you're trying to be better than someone else, like, who fucking cares about that person? Like, you could do things better than them, but, like, you're not them.
Yeah, true.
You know what I mean? So maybe that's the problem, then. It's like comparing yourself to others. Because, like, I don't want to be better than Steve Jobs. No. Like, I want to be as, creative as he is. But, like, I've never thought, like, hey, like, I want to be a better baseball player than Babe Ruth. Like, shit like that. I don't know. I just want to be the best me, but I can compare myself and just the overall success of past players.
Yeah.
Not that specific person that I have to obsess about.
Well, no, I think it's more to the point is I think we're always our worst critic. You're like I'm my worst critic. I'm sure Tyler's his worst critic. You're obviously your own worst critic, and I think that's just a human flaw almost.
Yeah. I'm working on it though.
Well, that's it.
That's all matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go. Let's end with some uplifting shit. So, let's go with goals. What's that? Future. Maybe heroist stuff. Like, just, who do you look up to, and what do you see your future goals being? You could start with either or. I'd probably start with the hero, because I mean, it might lead into how you see your future based
Yeah.
upon someone you look up to. You're gonna go the Matthew McConaughey route.
I was thinking of starting with that.
I don't know how you don't. That speech he gave, was that the Grammys?
Something
I
like
don't
that,
know.
yeah.
Whatever that speech was,
It's me in 5 years.
me in 5 years, dude.
I would say, I mean, one of my all time heroes is Stan Lee. From the get go, his comic book characters were, and still are, perfect metaphors and analogies for the better world that we can create. X-Men and what was it, X-Men? Yeah, X-Men was all about segregation and as well as the gay rights activism when that came out. X-Men was the 60s, 70s, I think, so the civil rights movement about people who are different, but they really aren't, and they're trying to live a normal life, and the socio-political taboo against them and how we react with fear. And Captain America was created in the World War II era about like American propaganda and the American spirit and rekindling that America is still strong and we will get through World War II coming off the Great Depression. What is it? Spider-Man and the Incredible Hulk were all about the nuclear Cold War era and mutations from radiation and stuff like that. And so he did a great job simplifying very difficult topics that were often hard to have conversations about as a family, but it taught people right from wrong at a very young age. But also, as simple as it was, as simple as the themes were, they were also very complex stories and characters. So you got the depth to them. You got all of that, as well as the holding a mirror up to society for we can do better and we should be doing better. Look at it. So I really like his creations and all that stuff. So he's definitely, I would say, my biggest hero, and I got to meet him like a year before he died.
That's dope. And before you get into your future, I do want to backtrack. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think we really need to hit how you got into NA beverages in general. I feel like we kind of missed that. And I think explain that process. And then let's see, and then you can talk about your future and how you see yourself in a year or two.
Okay. So how I got into NA beverages.
So basically, how'd you meet Ian and I?
I got
That's
hoodwinked.
basic.
Someone slid into my DMs.
I'm pretty sure I think you liked something or commented on one of my posts.
I think that's
And
what
I know
it was.
Ian and I, because we were so lonely in the beginning, we had no one to come. So I'm like, okay, I got to DM someone who might be interested. And I DM'd you, and you, for some reason, came. I remember the day. I remember I was going to get food. That was the first day that you came. Yeah, I went to go get Bubba's. Dude, Susie was there. Who else was there? Ian, do you remember?
I think Stefan.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yeah, they gone. But yeah, I mean, it started a little bit before the NA happy hour. That late February, early March, I signed on to become a brand ambassador with Athletic Brewing. I found out about them probably a year and a half prior, when my dad found them at a local road race he was at, and he bought some beer and brought it home, and we tried it, and it was good. So I knew about it, and then my mother had given up alcohol about 2 years prior, so I'd kind of been in and around the scene. And once I signed on to be an ambassador, I forget what triggered me to become. I went to a beer fest in Pennsylvania with a friend, and Athletic was there. And I walked up and I started talking with the guy, and he's like, "Oh, that's awesome. You've known about us for a while. Do you know about our ambassador program?" And I said no, so he talked to me a little bit about that and then gave me the link to sign up to become an ambassador. And I had a conversation with Athletic, and the rest is history. And then through there, I started posting more about NA beverages, and that's how I met Ian and this clown. I mean, what? Tyler? And gone from there, and I think the three of us have become really great friends already in such a short amount of time. And yeah.
What do you like about them?
About Athletic?
No, about non-alcoholic.
Oh, non-alcoholic. I mean, they're kind of the non-alcoholic beverages are the redheaded stepchild of beer, wine, and spirits. Like, there's still a lot of stigma to it, but people are starting to come around to it. They kind of still don't want to admit that they like it and want to give it a chance, and it's becoming a whole movement. It's a movement in its infancy in this country, and it's just getting started, and I think that's really exciting. Building stuff and seeing this movement grow and being able to be a part of it and the community, I guess. You know, I guess the people too.
Beautifully stated.
So eloquent.
Chris does like people, everyone, whoever's still listening. Chris does like people.
Don't tell most people that.
Okay, so let's lead into the future. Is non-alcoholic beverages a part of them? What do you? Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think I'm going to be leaving the non-alcoholic scene for a while. I got a couple really cool things coming up that involve the non-alcoholic industry in a couple different ways, and I might get kneecapped if I say any more about some of those projects. So tune in more. Follow me on Instagram to find out more. Like and comment in the description below. But I have a lot of fun, exciting things coming down the pipe. Getting back into some IT consulting on the side because I like seeing new environments and new networks and stuff. So that'll be fun. Non-alcoholic stuff, yeah, it's not going anywhere. We're still building. It's too exciting right now to leave. And then some other goals are, I don't know, keep doing me, gain more professional experience, more personal experience.
What's the dream?
White picket fence, 2-car garage, 2.5 kids, an American. No.
2.5 kids. Yeah, I knew you were an alien, man. So many things are lining up right now.
It's an asexual reproductive species.
So what you're saying is just you're all about you.
I can like cut off my finger and a new person will grow, an exact clone.
That's hey.
But yeah, short term, continue with this current job for a while. I don't know how long a while is. I don't. Could be a year, could be 5 years, could be 10 years. I don't know what that exact timetable is, but because I just got into it, so I'm not trying to think about when I'm leaving it. Continue on, like, tinkering with some hobbies, photography, running. I'll be running the virtual Boston Marathon in September down here in Maryland, where I ran with a charity and raised, I don't know, $7,900, $7,800 for cystic fibrosis research for the Massachusetts General Hospital, Joey O'Donnell Cystic Fibrosis Center for Children. Mouthful. And so that's exciting. I need to continue training for that, but once that's over, it'll be great to not have to worry about fundraising anymore. And
Yeah.
personally, just keep on doing me and see what the future brings, see who comes and goes, and hang out, and yeah.
Excellent.
Ian, you got any final questions?
No, and I mean, I think he answered everything we had in mind and more, so.
You got to end on this question, though. If you had to choose one person, if you had to choose between Ian and me, just being partners in crime, or more like they're your favorite host, between Ian and I, who are we choosing? Let's get a little competitive in here. Let's spike it up, right, Ian? Let's see.
But like, I have
Let's
to,
say
I
go
have to have,
first.
I have to have a situation though, because there's some times where I would pick Ian over you, but then there's some time, are there? Yeah.
We're hanging off a cliff, Ian and I.
And I can only save one.
Only save one. If you don't save either of us, you live.
Who has the non-alcoholic beer in their backpack?
Let's just say Ian.
I'm saving Ian.
Okay. That answers the question. Well, Chris, this was great. I learned a lot about you.
Yeah, me too. I'm sure the listeners did as well.
Whether or not they'll learn everything to be determined, and if they've stayed this long.
I guess we're all nerds about Chris, huh?
There we go.
Yeah, and them goals, Chris, I'm sure Tyler will agree with you. I've no doubt you'll smash them and knock them out of the park, so no better man.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Chris, thank you.
Just need to get a partner in crime eventually, and we'll take over the
absolutely.
world. My notebook is with a birthday present, and it says Chris's plan for world domination.
Excellent. Well, as I said, there's no better man, Chris, than our Chris.
There we go.